In this lesson, we are solving one-step equations with inverse operations. So what we did in the past is we were looking at little equations, right? Little short equations, like x plus 5 equals 8. And we were saying like, okay, what number plus 5 equals 8? That was using what's called intuition. Now we're going to use this strategy called inverse operations. Inverse means opposite. And operations are like adding and subtracting and multiplying and dividing. So inverse operations are things like adding is the inverse operation of subtracting. These are opposites, they undo each other. Okay, multiplying is the inverse operation of dividing. They undo each other, right? So dividing is the inverse operation of multiplying, and multiplying is the inverse operation of dividing. They undo each other. So that is the strategy that we are going to use today. We are going to undo what's being done to x. Okay, so our goal is to get x by itself. So our answers are going to look like x equals a number, right? So notice that x is by itself on one side of the equal sign, and then on the other side of the equal sign is a number. That is our goal. And the method that we're going to use to reach that goal is we're going to do the inverse. We're going to do the inverse, the opposite of what's happening to x. Oof, that's not happening. Okay, and then the key is that when we do what's happening, the opposite of what's happening to x, we have to do it on both sides of the equation. Because let's say two people say, oh, we have the same number of cookies, and then I go and I eat one person's cookies. Well, now they no longer have an equal number of cookies. So we still have to make sure that we keep things equal. Okay, so let's start with adding and subtracting. So if I have an equation, for example, like this, x plus 5 equals 7. Okay, how am I going to solve this? Now, what we learned before is like, okay, what number plus 5 equals 7? And you might just be thinking to yourself, well, it's 2. Yeah, that's correct. Okay, we're going to get x equals 2 down here. Okay, but let's learn this other strategy, because this other strategy works all the time. Even as the equations get more complicated, this will be a really good strategy to feel really comfortable with. So right here, what's happening to x? So watch what I'm going to do. See the equal sign? Here's x. I'm going to cover. So we're just looking at the side of the equal sign with the x on it. What's happening to x? X is having 5 added to it. So I'm going to do the opposite of adding 5. And what's the opposite of adding? I can look over here. It's subtracting. So I'm going to subtract 5, right? So now this says x plus 5 minus 5. It's like you had some cookies, I came and gave you 5, and then I immediately ate them. Okay, so I subtracted 5, perfect. Now, see this equal sign? You can draw like a little line right there. I have to do whatever I do on one side of the equation, I have to do on the other side as well. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and do my math. 5 minus 5 is 0. Okay, so I don't write x plus 0, I just write x equals, and 7 minus 5 is 2. And this is my answer, x equals 2. Okay, and the method looks pretty similar if I have subtraction right here, right? What's the opposite of subtracting? It's adding. So here, because I have minus 4, I'm going to do the opposite, which is plus 4. And if I do something on one side of the equation, I have to do it on the other side of the equation. So here's the equal sign. That divides one side of the equation from the other. So I now have, this cancels, x equals 5 plus 4 is 9. And there's my answer. Okay, go ahead and try these 3 practice problems.